What's up, everybody? Thanks again for stopping by for another edition of March 4th with Mike Bauman. I, of course, am your host, Mike Bauman. Whoever you are, wherever you are listening from, thank you so much for checking out the Badcast. If you're a returning listener, I greatly appreciate your continued love and support. And if you're a brand new listener of the show, man, thank you so much for hopping aboard that pirate ship. You can follow me on Instagram at March 4th Pod. I am over there on the YouTube at March 4th Pod. The links to all of my stuff are in the podcast description. So that means if you made it here, then you found us somehow. And I truly appreciate each and every one of you taking the time to check out another edition of the March 4th with Mike Bauman podcast. How you doing, man? How's everybody doing? Is everybody doing all right? Good, great, grand, wonderful. For realsy, though, I hope that everybody's doing well. We're coming up this week on Thanksgiving here in the United States. So I know I mentioned it on the last episode, but that week is upon us. So if you celebrate it, I hope you get a chance to spend time with your loved ones, whether you're doing a Friendsgiving, whether you're going home, whether you got family coming to yours and you're hosting and you're deep frying a turkey and trying not to set the place on fire. I hope that everybody does well, man. Myself, I'm a stuffing guy. Stuffing guy, lots of gravy. I slop gravy all over everything. I'm not one of these people where it's like everything on the plate has to be like separated. Dude, I like to mash all of it together. I am just shy of taking everything and putting it in a blender and just frappeing it and just drinking it. I like everything, stuffing, gravy, mashed potatoes, ham, turkey, dark meat, light meat. I'm here for all of it, man. And I'm a big pumpkin pie guy. Down here in the South, they do it a little bit different. They got the chess pie thing going on. They're big on the pecan pie. Pumpkin pie, they're like, what are you talking about? And they call stuffing dressing down here. I noticed, too, when I moved here. I'm like, why are y'all calling it dressing? Like, where I come from, dressing is like what you put on a salad. Okay? It's not the stuffing. But yeah, man, I hope that everybody has a good time. Go Lions. I know it's trendy to be a Detroit Lions fan right now, but I have been a Lions fan since I was in like 5th, 6th grade, and I used to play with the Lions on Madden because Barry Sanders is one of my top 3 athletes ever, and he was damn near unstoppable on Madden, and I loved watching him play. And a couple of times in football practice when I would get the ball, but your boy had butterfingers and I wasn't fast, so I really wasn't scoring anything. I was mostly playing defense. I digress, but I was trying to juke people out of their shoes like my guy Barry Sanders because that's what I watched him do. But yeah, dude, love the Detroit Lions. It's cool to see Dan Campbell and the front office turn everything around, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that they keep this run going. So we got to get the dub on Thanksgiving, man. And yes, I did say we. I did because they're my team. Okay, so sue me. But yeah, I hope everybody's doing well, man. It's crazy to think that as this episode is hitting you guys' ears, we're going to be less than a month away from Christmas too. So it's wild, man. It's wild how time flies. But I hope that everybody closes out the year on a high note. This year has been great for the podcast. It's actually been the best year yet for the show. So thank you to all of you who like and subscribe and tell a friend to tell a friend and listen to me rant on this show. But for realsies, man, like this show is really near and dear to me. I've said it before to those of you who listen. So for you first-time listeners, the meaning behind March 4th is perseverance, moving forward, chasing your dreams, pushing through the darkness to get to the light. Whatever your darkness is, whatever that suffering comes in the form of. For me, it's anxiety, overthinking, OCD, intrusive thoughts, all of that crap that I work through. And so this show means a lot to me, man, with all the work that I've done in both music and sports journalism and sports broadcasting and radio and TV on a local level back in the day. This is the thing that means the most to me, man. So it's really humbling to see it continue to grow and to see the people who are continuing to like and share and subscribe and tell people about the show. So thank you to all of you. And if this week's guest is who brought you here, I appreciate you coming aboard that pirate ship. And speaking of this week's guest, let's get right into it. So I was made aware of these guys by a friend of the show. Shout out to Robbie Litchfield, an amazing guitar player, great producer over at Hell Here Studios in New York. He's part of an awesome band called Saving Vice. We actually got to meet in person for the first time a week ago. It was their first time playing in Nashville on their tour. So shout out to the boys in Saving Vice. They did a hell of a show at the end in Nashville, which is a great venue. I digress, but he just did the show a couple months ago. It came out a few weeks back. And he said, Mike, there's a band that I've worked with. I did their album, I produced their album, and they're awesome. They're younger guys. They got a bright future. And I think it'd be really cool if you could get them on the show. And I was like, yeah, dude, give me their deets. And he gave me their Instagram. And I went on Spotify. I listened to their record. And I was like, holy shnikes, these dudes are brutal. They're awesome on their instruments. Their singer is doing some stuff that like only a handful of people for realsies can do, and they're awesome. They've done a lot of shows already, and I hit them up, and they wanted to come on. So this week's guest is none other than Devitalized. These guys are a Massachusetts deathcore band, and really they combine elements of deathcore, metalcore, hardcore. Awesome sound, man. Their album State of Aggression came out back in May. It was produced, mixed, and mastered by the aforementioned Robbie Litchfield of Saving Vice. Some of my favorites from the record are Welcome Back, Deep Cuts, Flesh Pit, XX, The End. They also have an awesome track on there called Godslayer with Tom Barber, which y'all probably know from Darko and Chelsea Grin. And we talk about what it was like to work with him, what it was like to work with Robbie, the touring that they've gotten to do, stuff they've got coming up as far as shows going into 2025. So it was just great to talk to these dudes and get to know more about how Devitalized came to be, and just about the noise that these guys have been able to make as a band on the come up already, man. So it was great to get them on. So without further ado, I'm going to shut my big yapper and give you guys my conversation with Tom, JP, and Dawson of Devitalized. Here it is. All right, dudes. Well, there we go. Well, thank you again so much for taking the time to do the podcast, fellas. I really appreciate it. Like we were talking about before the jump, Robbie recommended you guys to me. Shout out Robbie from Saving Vice, friend of the show, and listen to y'all's record, man. State of Aggression, and I was really impressed, man. There's a lot going on that album. A lot of blending of different subgenres of heavy music that you guys are doing, and I think it's just like a super sick offering that you guys gave to the world, man. So, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me, man.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, truly. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Well, since we got multiple members of the band here, why don't before we officially get rolling, why don't you guys tell people your names and what you do in the band, and that way when you're speaking, they know who's talking.
Tommy, you start.
My name's Tom. I play the bass and I do clean vocals.
Dawson.
Dawson, guitar and yeah.
And JP vocals.
And yeah.
The vocals. The vocal is the goblin. Bro, did you just come on? That was so silly. Anyway, yes. Dawson's guitar, Tommy is bass and clean, and I do the screamy vocals.
Hell yeah, man. So just as a place to start with you guys, just reading up a little bit about you and doing my homework as it were. Even though I love this stuff, so it's not research for me. It's just fun new music. But how did you guys get into heavy music? Because I read that you guys have different influences. And for people who aren't aware of you guys, I mean, there's deathcore elements, there's metalcore elements, there's hardcore elements, there's clean singing parts, there's some really gnarly, grimy singing parts. So, like, tell me what was the bug that bit each one of you for heavier, more aggressive music? Because I always feel like there's like a moment or an album or a show or a person that kind of like is the one that's the first one to kind of open that Pandora's box. So what was that for you guys?
Awesome.
So like when I was a kid, I like when I first started listening to music, believe it or not, I was like an Elvis Presley guy for the longest time. That's what got me to start playing guitar. So I was always into classic rock, and then as you go through it, I got into Metallica. That was my first like leeway into metal. But for the heavier stuff, I think it was Psychosocial by Slipknot was the first time I listened to like something that was like a bit more heavy. And yeah, I just kind of would listen to that kind of stuff. And I didn't really listen to like metalcore or deathcore like that. I listened to deathcore, but not metalcore. JP was the one that first like put me on to like metalcore, which was when Silver Scream came out
Yeah,
from Ice Nine
that was
Kills.
back in the Ice Nine Kills
That
day.
was that was the first metalcore album that
what was
like
that,
I fell
like
in love with.
2017, 2018?
2018. Yeah.
Damn, bro, that was a long time
Yeah.
ago.
That was how I got into like the core stuff. But
Yeah. So my dad always liked rock music. He's in a couple of like tribute rock bands, so he's just always been like a musician. And I grew up listening to a lot of like AC/DC, Motley Crue, like glam rock, I think that's what people call it, stuff like that. Um, and my brother who's the other guitarist, he was like more into metal as he got like a little bit older and like into middle school. And I used to like hate it. I used to be like, when I was a little kid, I was like, why
yeah.
are they just yelling? Blah, 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 blah. And I used to listen to like EDM. Like I like dance music. It used to be fun to listen to. Like a lot of dubstep, which my brother got me into. And then as I got into middle school, like the beginning of middle school, I understood why metal was just so fun to listen to. I started listening to like scene music, like Pierce the Veil and like Black Veil Brides and Sleeping with Sirens. Like I feel like that's everyone's gateway. And then I found like Chelsea Grin and like Lorna Shore and stuff like a long ass time ago. And I was like, this shit is really good. And I just like got more into it and I realized I enjoyed it a lot more than like, because I don't know, groovy breakdowns are just fun to listen to. So I was like a little kid listening to like Alex Kohler screaming into a microphone. And I didn't realize I was going to be more into deathcore than like my own brother who literally started listening to it first.
That's
Tommy.
awesome. Yeah, Tommy,
So
what?
for me, I'd say I started with rock music. I used to love Guitar Hero. And then I'd hear my dad listening to Linkin Park and Korn and stuff like that. So I always kind of had like that, like, I guess you could say new metal taste. And then when I got a little bit older, still a kid, but a little bit older, I started getting into the scene stuff. Pierce the Veil was a big one for me, one of my favorite bands of all time. Motionless in White, the album Creatures, that means a lot to me. That's my favorite album ever. Um, then from there, I kind of just branched. Like then I got around to Chelsea Grin on the deathcore side of things. And then it just kind of one thing hit off another. Found new bands. I would say the biggest band that stands out for me though is definitely Motionless in White. I would say just because that really got me into the heavy stuff. And then from there, I was able to branch into pretty much anything. And now nothing's really too heavy for me. That's pretty much it for me.
I appreciate y'all sharing that, man. And since it was mentioned a couple of times, I think what's sick is for people who aren't aware, you guys have gotten to work with Tom Barber, right?
Yes, sir.
Godslayer. So just as fans of Chelsea Grin, and that song is sick too. And I feel like where it is on the record, it's kind of like in the middle of y'all's album. I feel like that's like a perfect spot for it. Um, what was it like working with that dude, man? Just being a fan of Chelsea Grin, like you guys are
He's
into heavy
he's a
music.
real he's a really cool dude. When I brought it to his attention a few years back and we were on the tour bus hanging out, he was like all about it. He's like, dude, I'd love to feature. And he was just like super sweet, super chill to work with. And he had it done like really quick. Like when I sent him everything, he literally like called me. I don't remember what day it was, some day during the week. I was I was on my way back from a job interview and I'm getting a phone call. My dad's driving me because I was like, I think 17, turning 8. Yeah, I was like 17. So I'm like younger and he's calling my phone. He's like, oh, I just want to let you know I finished the feature. Where can I send it? Blah, 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 blah. And then I was like, oh shit, awesome. My dad's like driving. He's like, no way, that's super cool. And he's like, so how's your day going? You having a good day? And he was like super nice. And I was like, dude, this guy's super chill. He's just hanging out probably at the studio right now. And I mean, ever since then, he's just been really supportive of us. I see him peeping our Instagram. I see him peeping the stories, liking our stuff, reposting, and I really appreciate it. I think we all do. And we hope we could tour with them one day. That would be a fucking dream come true.
Dawson, Tommy, anything you guys want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I've never met Tom personally. I have watched a lot of Tom Barber interviews, and I've heard stuff from JP. He's definitely, in my eyes, like in my head, he's the most respected vocalist in the scene, in my opinion, just because of like the way he is. I pay close attention to the things he says, and definitely with when Darko came out, that definitely showed me like, wow, this dude's capable of a lot more than just gutturals and squeals. So I definitely Tom Barber's probably my favorite vocalist personally. But I haven't met him yet. Anyways,
Awesome.
I don't know. I didn't get to work with him that much, but like I remember when you and me were in like high school and we saw Chelsea Grin and we got to say what's up to David and Tom. They were just there like everybody in Chelsea Grin just seems really awesome. And I remember when you and I saw Chelsea Grin, that was in like 2019 when like we met David and Pablo when Pablo was still in the band. And I remember last April when Devitalized opened for Chelsea Grin at the Palladium before I was in the band, going up to the merch booth and David remembered me.
Yeah.
Like years later, whatever.
Yeah.
And that just came out of nowhere. I was at the merch table and he's like, "Wait, aren't you like JP's boy?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude." Like, it threw me off, but they're just really cool guys, and I think it shows like they genuinely care about their people.
Yeah, I remember now. By the way, I was like 18 when we did that feature because I was like actually right after prom. It was right after senior prom, and I went to the shows, and they were like, I hadn't seen Tom in a long time because of COVID and shit. And I remember him walking off the bus, and I was the only one in line. By the way, I was there. I can't remember. I took the day off from school, or if, I think we had just gotten like graduated, but not fully. And I was standing there, and he looks over and sees me, and I did lose a lot of weight from the last time he saw me too. And he looks back and he's putting the merch, and then he looks back, he's like, JP, and he runs up to me, he's like, yo, let me load up with the band and then we'll chill. And then that's like how that actually all happened. And that was like such a cool experience because like I said, he hadn't seen what I looked like in years because of COVID and shit and not having shows, and I had lost like 100 and something pounds. So I looked very different. And the fact that he still remembered my face was like really, really fucking awesome. Like super, like genuinely a super sweet guy.
Hell yeah, man. It's cool when people well, and congrats on the weight loss, man. That is no small feat, losing 100 pounds, dude. That's like that takes a lot. Um, but I think it's cool that especially you guys not like you're on the younger side, and that's what I feel like is cool about your band, like all the stuff that you guys are doing at the age that you are at. And I'm not like an ageist or anything, but even when talking to Robbie, he was like, I really want you to, if you can make it happen, like get them on because like these guys are sick, and he's like they're a younger band, and he's like I feel like he was talking about just all the like what's in front of you guys too, man. So again, I hope it doesn't sound like I'm 36. I'm not like old, but I'm a little bit older than you guys. But I don't think I look it. Thankfully, the genes and whatever. But yeah, I just say all that to say I think it's cool when you can meet like one of your musical heroes like that, and they're really cool to work with, and to remember you, like you said, like with all the faces and all the people that they meet, um, to be able to play shows or and meet these guys and get to do a song with them, like that's awesome. Like how many people can say that they're able to do a song with
Probably not a lot. Probably not a lot. And like I've known him for a while too, but it's just like even, like I said, so many faces. Like you think even if you know someone for like 10 years or 8 years or 6 years, like they would, if they're touring and seeing thousands of faces a day, the fact that he still remembers someone, and he's always been supportive since our like first band, and like and even when I was just a lot younger, like learning how to do vocals, like he's always been there, he's always been supportive, trying to teach techniques, and he's always kept up. And he literally DM'd me a few months back and was like, how you doing, like and it was just so funny because I was like, bro, you're texting me out of nowhere. So he's a really cool dude. So working with him has been a pleasure, and I hope we can do it again soon. I would love to, like I said, tour with those dudes. I think we would all fucking love that.
That would be insane.
Yeah.
So what was sort of like the inception of Devitalized? You just mentioned like you guys played together before. Like how long have you guys been at it as Devitalized now?
So Devitalized has been a band for about 2 years now. Me and Dawson actually went to high school together, and we actually started our first band freshman year.
Well, we didn't go to the same high school, but
Well,
we knew each other.
yeah, we knew each other through mutual friends, and we started a band together. And like, we both just really wanted to make metal music. We definitely had a lot of different styles of music that we liked, and we definitely had a lot of different ideas. But we dropped our first single after, like, during COVID.
Yeah, middle of COVID.
Middle of COVID. It was called Prison Bars, and it was in our first band, Reverse the Curse, which is such a cringe name looking back on it. And then throughout the years, we just kind of drifted, and then I kept going with my band and found like a new lineup, and then we became homies, like closer again and shit after a while, and after some lineup changes with with Devitalize, I was like, yo, you want to join a band? Like, fuck it, let's redo this shit, you know? And it's been awesome ever since. Tommy joined mid-album cycle.
Like made us, yeah.
Yeah. So with me, pretty much it was I came from another band called May We Meet Again. Shout out the boys. Um, but so I ended up just like becoming friends with JP, and originally I was trying to find them a bass player because I couldn't do both, finances and stuff like that. So I pretty much was like, yeah, I'm gonna find you a bass player. You're my boy. I like you guys, blah blah blah. And then me and JP started talking more and more, playing video games, stuff like that. Also talking to Robbie. Robbie was like, hey man, I think this would be good for you as well. Definitely give it a shot. And I was like, dude, I don't know. And then one day, something just clicked, and I was like, I got to do it. I got to follow my heart. And I've been here ever since.
Oh yeah, man. Like again, I'm just like I'm really impressed because again, like I just the record turned out awesome, and even just like going through y'all's Instagram and seeing the amount of shows you've played in Devitalize, even like this year. Like as we're talking, you guys just did a run of shows. And some of the pictures and stuff from the shows too seemed like it was wild. It was a fun time. Like it's cool to see people with like an appetite for heavy music and just the bands you're getting to play with, the people you're getting to work with. Um, what I'm curious about too is like making this kind of music, man, and doing it at the level that you guys are doing it at the age that you're all at is really impressive. But was there a point where it felt like it clicked? Like you said, there's different iterations of bands or previous bands, and then you get this lineup of Devitalized together. But was there a point where you guys felt like you hit your stride, or like kind of like you knew you were onto something with like the different influences and the different sounds that you melded together?
Yeah, actually, yeah. Dawson, you wanna get deep on that?
Well, like when we were like in the studio,
Yeah, just like in general, I guess.
I think like it goes back to even the first song we recorded together, which was Welcome Back. And back then Tommy was in the band. The Devitalized at the time when the song Welcome Back was written and recorded, it was me, JP, and Jojo, who's JP's brother and the other guitarist. It was the three of us that threw that song together, along with a friend of ours, Tay, from the other band that Tommy was in. And he helped us write drums and stuff like that. That was pretty much what it was. But even like just hearing the way Welcome Back came out for the first time, I think that's when we knew. And like when we knew that like musically we were putting something together. And then in terms of like the lineup, I think like when we were prepping for our first show
With
together,
Papa, bro.
I think even when Papa tried, so we call our drummer Andrew Papa Bailey. He's the oldest member in the group, so we call him Papa. I think like when he first came to jam out with us, I think like it all like when we started playing, we played like I think it was Flesh Pit
Yeah.
for the first time, and that's when we knew we were like, all right.
Yeah, that's when we like really started to lock in terms of like stage presence. I think we were all nervous, of course. Like you get those nervous jitters your first time around. And our drummer, so Andrew was very like nervous. He's a very shy person. I'm not gonna lie. Like even as an older guy, like he's a very, very shy person. And it's really funny because now he's like super open with us and I love it. But he was super shy. We were all like hanging out. We were all talking. He just seemed like he was like, oh, I don't know, I'm nervous. And when we started like really rerunning like the songs, it just felt like everything was like it found a flow. And then, of course, more with time and more shows that we played, we've definitely found a better stage presence. We've gotten significantly tighter since like our first ever like band practice and just show. And it's just been a really smooth sailing ride since. And like we're really happy that we're working on new music together because now that we're like a full band, we have that flow so we can actually write even better and meaner and just more fun songs to play, which is like even of course just overall awesome because we went from just the three of us making a song that we didn't know if it would go far, we didn't know if it would actually even mean our comeback, and then like we finished the album and then we started playing shows and we were like, can't wait to write again, can't wait to get in the studio, can't wait to fucking all put our heads together and make some fucking straight beaters. And we've just been going ever since. So
So JP, when did you know that you could do that with your voice? Like when, like at, like what was the first, I guess a better question would be, what was the first time you tried to go to those places and then like being able to perfect it without like blowing your voice out? Because I don't think the average music fan, especially people who don't listen to heavy music, they don't understand what it's like to be able to do that and not like just like blow out your vocal cords. Like there's definitely a technique to it.
So it started when I was a lot younger. Because like being a little kid, yelling at your parents and just being angsty. Um, I kind of like screamed a lot when I was younger, just like more rage wise, because I was, like as a little kid. And then when I started like listening to metal music in like the middle school era, I would like listen to Killswitch Engage and like Slipknot and like I said, Pierce Veil and stuff. And I was like, oh, I wonder how they do that. And I would literally just like sit in like class or like room or whatever, and I would like try to do it, and it would always hurt. Like I would always fuck up, and I definitely wasn't doing it right. And then when I like really started getting in like the deathcore stuff and watching videos on like how these vocalists do it and hitting up Tom and asking him how he did it at a younger age, like them kind of being like, oh, I do like this. Oh, and then you watch the videos and like, this is how I scream. And then you realize like, oh, they're not pushing themselves. They're just pressing on their tummy a bit and they're training themselves. So definitely a huge inspiration being Tom Barber. A lot of people try to say that I sound like him, and that's a huge compliment. But I do think a lot of listening to them, I like really did learn. I think remember that first time you were practicing, we were hanging
I was about
out.
to say, I think I was there for one of those moments.
Bro, I just put the mic up to my mouth and I just like hit the meanest gutter roll, and he just looks at me, he's like, bro, how did you do that? Like it just finally came out.
Dude,
Like,
we were like, what, 14 or 15 when that happened?
yeah, it was, and now I'm just like, I just can like fucking hit it at any time and it never hurts. Sometimes when I play shows, there's a little bit of vocal strain. I think that's completely normal, but I take care of my throat after. What sucks is I smoke a lot of weed, so probably doesn't help my vocals all the best, but I've gotten better with that shit. And overall, just like I've been drinking more tea, more like warmer water. I've learned more warm-ups for shows. I focused on like I think my biggest thing too is I get nervous and I start to shake. And then like I would go out and perform. I'd be like, I'm gonna fuck this up. I'm gonna fuck this up. And then I would like be like, nah, I gotta go hard. I gotta go hard. And then I go too hard. And then I waste all my energy the first two songs, which I've gotten significantly better with, by the way. Now I make it through our song Karma Sutra like it's butter. And I was struggling to do that song live because it's so fast. And now I'm just like all the way through, and I know how to do the switch ups good. Like I'm good with the transitions. So I started younger, and then as I got older, I just really kind of taught myself and paid attention, because when you pay attention to like who's doing it, you can honestly just get a feel and idea for what they're doing, and you can kind of just train yourself that way.
Who are some of the folks? Obviously, Tom is amazing, but are there any other ones like either on the come up right now that you want to give a shout out to, or people that you're listening to that you're impressed by, that where you're like, damn, they can do that too.
Dude, that's a good question. One band I really like, that's coming up right now that I think is super cool. Oh, I'm like totally forgetting the band name, but they dropped a song called 109. Hold on, let me look it up. Oh my gosh. They're really good and they're like hardcore, but they have that deathcore-ish sound to it. I just can't remember off the top of my head, but oh, Born Anew from New Jersey. They are super killer. I really like their stuff. No, Born Anew is really cool. I like Left to Suffer a lot. They're a really cool band. I know they're not really on the come up, but I do like Darko, which is that Tom Barber side project. I think they are changing the whole like sound of deathcore. Um, but that's like most of the newer bands that I really like. Oh, and Death Empress or something like that. I think that's the name of the band, but they just dropped a really sick couple of songs that Synesthesia and Disembodied Tyrant. Both of those bands are really cool and they are just fun to listen to. It's like kind of like that new age Lorna Shore with a lot of groove to it, like newer Chelsea Grin mixed in. It's really good.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, I have a lot of respect for what y'all do. Because like uh Matt Hafey was one of the first vocalists from Trivium that got me into like heavier music. There was a guy my stepdad worked with. He's a drummer, and he gave me like, I think I might still have it in like one of the Case Logics in my trunk, even though everything's digital now. I can't get rid of my old big ass CD cases. I have to just keep those. It's like a time capsule. But there was a Trivium song on there. And I was like, God damn, who is this? And so he was one of the first ones that got me going into like that metalcore direction. And then obviously like Kill Switch and Jesse and Howard. And then when it gets into like death metal and like deathcore, it's like a whole other level of extreme. So the stuff that y'all do, man, it's super impressive to me. Because again, and especially being able to go to that through cleans, or have bands like yourselves where you guys have multiple vocalists. Like there's a lot of elements, man. It's a lot to balance. And I just gotta there's not even a question in there, but I just got a lot of respect for what you guys do. But and speaking of respect, we mentioned Saving Vice. I feel like I'm dropping names all over this podcast, so sorry anybody listening. I hope it doesn't sound gross, but got to give a shout out to the fellas here. But those guys are sick. Robbie and I first linked up probably like, I want to say he was on the show 2 years ago. I think Tyler was on first, and then Robbie was on. That was like right as we were kind of, I think I had Tyler on right in the middle of COVID, because they had dropped their album and then like COVID happened like right after that. It was bad, but their record did really good with streaming, and I was able to get in touch with those guys, and they're kind enough to come on the show. But for people who aren't aware, Robbie plays guitar in Saving Vice, but he's also got Hell Here Studios, and that's where you guys recorded your record. So how did you get linked up with him, and what was it like working with him for this one? Because it turned out great.
Met him through our marketing, like our agents at the time. They were called Don't Blink Media. They told us about him and they were like, "Oh, he's a really good producer, yada yada." And I was like, "Well, we're looking to record new music. We're on a bit of a budget." And he took us in, super sweet. And the times that we had, they were really nice. Like we just got to work and a lot of funny moments, definitely.
Yeah, we had some good times.
Yeah, we had some crazy moments there that even I was like, you know what? Like I one of the days that we were there, I think I rolled like 10 joints because I brought about like 2 ounces of weed and I definitely smoked too much and it was like vocal day and he's like, dude, are you fucking high? And I'm like, no. And then we get on the mic and I'm raspy as fuck. He's like, come on, bro, you're dropping the ball right now, yada yada. I'm like, I'm sorry, bro, because like I was honestly going through a really dark period of my life, surprisingly during the album release too. Just going through a lot of like really fucking home life shit, and I was like melting my brain away with weed. Like I was just smoking and smoking and smoking, which is why I think the album has a lot more meaning to it, is because after the album really like came out and like we started playing shows again, I found myself as a person too. So being in the studio definitely helped a lot. And there was a lot of like fun moments with everyone. Honestly, there was just a lot of silly, like there was like the buffalo chicken pizza incident,
Oh gosh.
where we ordered how many slices was it? Like 128?
Well, which time? Which studio session are we talking about?
So there's this pizza place, like the one pizza place in the whole town, and we ordered the biggest one they had, and we only got buffalo chicken. Well, there was one time we got steak and cheese on one side, but that shit was ass. So we just
That
only
was
ate
terrible.
we only ate buffalo chicken pizza for like days straight. The farts were smelly. We were all sick. We were just like bloated, and I just felt god awful. Like I couldn't even sleep good because I just had like a weight in my belly of just buffalo chicken. And we were like, it's the buffalo bus. Like,
Well, yeah, I remember this is when we recorded Welcome Back. You and Tay,
oh yeah, we went crazy on
you guys went to go pick up the food.
it. Yeah.
Me, Jojo, and Robbie are in the studio tracking guitar. And you walk up and you're like, yo, we just got the pizza. I'm like, all right, well, let us wrap this up. Is the pizza good? You go, it's Buffalo Bussin'.
Yeah, it's buffalo bussin'.
I was like, oh,
they ran
shit.
down the stairs. I won't lie, the pizza is good, but the way it made you feel after was terrible. It was just like lard in your stomach, and you just felt heavy the whole time.
Yeah,
So
more risk than reward, honestly, with that pizza guy.
eating it was rewarding.
Yeah, it tastes good. No, it's good pizza. It's good. Don't get me wrong.
It's really good pizza though. That was one of the key moments of being there, though, the pizza and then like the coffee, the Starbucks incident too.
Oh, I
Oh,
wasn't.
the Madden. What about the Madden incident?
Oh, Tommy, you want to tell him about the Madden?
Yeah, I'll tell it. I'll tell it. So one night, the song. How familiar are you with the album? Did you listen to the song Karma Sutra?
Yes, sir.
So that song, right? We had a tough time in the lyric department with JP and I on that song. So we couldn't really figure out where we were going with the lyrics. So Tyler Small from SV was helping us over the phone. So um, we end up going upstairs to write more lyrics after the session. So Robbie comes up, he's on the phone with Tyler, and JP's playing NWA over the speakers, over like a Bluetooth JBL speaker. And me and JP are just sitting there playing Madden. Mind you, JP's probably like 3 joints in. So we're playing Madden against each other. And Robbie's like, Tyler, they're listening to fucking rap music right now. Tyler's like, oh no, I told them to. I told them to. He's like, NWA. Tyler's like, no, I told them to listen to sexy rap music. So JP decides to make it worse. So Robbie's like, what are you two doing? You guys are supposed to be writing lyrics. We're like, I just accepted defeat. I'm just sitting there quiet. JP decides to go, we're doing them right now. What do you mean? Like Robbie was fucking crazy. It was probably it was one of those in the moment things for sure, but it was probably one of the funniest things I've ever heard come out of his mouth. He looked him dead in the face and he goes, we're doing them right now. What do you mean? It was so funny, dude.
Yeah, I was low-key high as fuck. I was 3 joints deep. We're playing Madden because I just bought 25.
24.
24. Sorry. I was playing bro, I don't remember the dates, the years. We were playing Madden 24, and I was just like, I really wanted to chill out anyway because we had literally been going, and I just wanted like 30 minutes to just like clear my mind of music, because sometimes like writing and just doing too much music, it can really just like scramble your brain, and you just need a break. Like you always need a break from something. And that was like the one time I had a break, and I'm not gonna lie, I shouldn't have gotten as high as I did, but it was funny. It was a good time. And then me and Tommy ended up cooking up some lyrics, and then Karma Sutra was born after 2 days after that.
Yeah, no, we ended up wrapping it up like quick after that, but it was just that one night we were fighting demons, dude.
Yeah.
That's hilarious though, because I can just picture you gaslighting Robbie like that. Like, dude, we're working. Because yeah, Robbie's awesome, man, and that's what I wanted to ask you, Tommy, and Dawson as well. You know, you guys, on bass and guitar respectively. Like, obviously, Robbie's got killer chops as a guitar player, and the stuff that
For
they
sure.
do as a I know they're a metalcore band, but like the stuff that he does on guitar, it's like there's some wizardry going on. Like I even told him that with their new album, man. But what did he bring out of you guys, man, as players?
Um, so for me, not really much in the playing department. Robbie's also a bass player, so he kind of just gets me and I get him. Um, but Robbie, what I can say that Robbie really locked in on me for was vocals. I came into the studio. My other band, May We Meet Again, I was doing harmonies. So Robbie worked with me like 2 weeks before I went to the studio with Devitalized. So this is kind of like a both bands thing. But Robbie was like, "We're gonna make you into a good vocalist." I'm like, "Well, I've never really done vocals before. I've never really had a passion for doing vocals. But if you say I'm good at it, I'll give it a shot for the team. Like I want to do it. I want to get good at it. Now I enjoy it." But he was like, he kind of just like believed in me, and he was very hard. Like he would straight up tell me like, "Dude, you're sucking right now. Like figure it out." But one thing he always said, he actually he was like, "You got the same vocal tone as Noah Sebastian, but you have no fucking idea what you're doing." And like that would get under my skin, but it got under my skin in a good way, you know. It got under my skin in a way to get me to not only like do it to like prove him wrong, but it also really helped me lock in on the tips I was getting from him. And like I pretty much I became a semi okay vocalist within 2 studio sessions. And it was like, wow, I never knew I could do this. Like this isn't, this is nothing I ever thought I would do. But Robbie really kind of, even though he's a strings player, he really helped me with vocals. And now vocals is something I can do. And I learned how to scream from GP. And now I'm not the best. I mean, any main vocalist is definitely better than I am, but I have to thank Robbie for my vocal ability. I'm still early in the process, but that's what he definitely did for me. What about you, Dawson?
Um, I would say like I'm trying to think. I think like a lot of it was the first session that I played. I mean, maybe not anything like playing specifically, but I think maybe just more about playing during the recording process. I think when you're first getting into the studio, you're worried about accuracy. And sometimes when, you're playing, because like I have a home studio. Before I joined Devitalized, I was just writing and recording on my own and recording myself. So recording this album was the first time that I recorded like, with someone else at the producer role. Um, so I think the big thing is I was shy at first, like in terms of like, my picking, I guess. Which Robbie kind of guided me more towards like, hey, be more aggressive. Like, I know like you're worried about accuracy, but like we'll get there. Just don't be afraid to play mean because we're playing mean music. So I think that was like the main thing is I was a little shy at first. Or at least recording the first song, Welcome Back. After that, after Welcome Back was done, I think like I knew the flow of tracking going into the studio. So I think that's what like the main thing that I got.
And as a player, Dawson, is there anybody or a few players whose like tone like that you really enjoy? And then a follow-up to that be are you guys playing are you in the same tuning the whole record, or do you guys mix up tunings on the guitar?
So for the tuning, there's 3 tunings that the album is in. Drop F, drop G, and then deep cuts is in drop A. That's the only song that's in drop A. In terms of players, funny enough, like a lot of my favorite players aren't necessarily metal guitarists. Growing up, I loved Jimmy Page, from Zeppelin, and my dad is probably my favorite guitarist, to be honest. And don't let him know I said that because I'm not letting him hear that shit. But you know how he is, bro. Right? He gonna text you, bro.
Yeah, no, don't give him that. Don't give him that
I'm
boost.
not gonna give him that, but my dad is probably my favorite guitar player. But in terms of tone, there's different tones that I love for different things. Like sometimes I listen to actually, you know what? Nah. The tone on the new Knocked Loose record, I fucking love that
Yeah, it's
tone.
pretty mean. It's
And I
pretty
know
mean.
I like I saw an interview with I can't
Isaac
remember.
Hale.
Isaac Hale.
Yeah, Isaac. Yeah. Sorry, I'm bad with names. Isaac was talking about the record and like I guess they they had four different layers of guitars during that record and each had like a different tone kind of descending. Like the fourth, like the lowest undertone, like the tone that they used was just like basically fucking static at that point. Like it was just a bunch of tones layered on each other to make that tone. But I just love the way the guitars sound on the new Knocked Loose record. So I would say that's like the first time I was like, Jesus fuck from like a guitar tone.
Well, I got to give you guys your flowers, man. So I've listened to the album 2 times all the way through. And these are the ones that I really enjoy the most. The first one I started with was Welcome Back, which is sick. So that one's definitely one that I love. Deep cuts, I love, uh, especially lyrically on that one. There's a lot going on lyrically in that one. That's some like soul bearing stuff going on that one. I was like, damn. Um, Flesh Pit, um, XX. There's, for lack of a better way to say this, on XX, there's like a cool kind of like spirally riff. I don't even know if I'm making sense or if you understand what I'm saying.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then I mean, I love the end too. That one is like bouncy. That riff is like a real bouncy. So so uh, so
That's
yeah,
my
so
favorite song.
Yeah,
yeah, so
Dawson didn't like that song that much in the beginning.
No, the song I didn't love at first was Karma.
Oh, that's fair.
At first I
Me and Dawson both.
Oh, Karma's fire, bro.
but that was during like the demo stage and then Karma turned into like a whole different entity. But
It is a banger, bro.
yeah,
It rips. It rips live.
it does
too.
rip. I love that song now. And that's a song that people have texted me about.
Yeah.
So
I think it's just because it has like a really fun like sound, you know? It's very unique because it has a good chorus, like good melody and stuff, but it has like a really nice like just like that the little it's just so technical. I love it. I love how technical it is. Joseph cooked on that song for sure. Like for sure.
yeah, and to be clear, like State of Aggression is sick. Like obviously that's the name of the record. I love that one too. Obviously, Tom and you guys did your thing on Godslayer. Those were just the ones that stood out to me listening to it a couple of times through. And going back and revisiting it after the first listen, because the first listen through, especially when like you're a heavy music fan, you're like, all right, what am I getting into? And I actually thought the record was structured really well. And that was another thing that I wanted to ask you guys about, putting together 8 songs and trying to come up with a flow. Obviously even like the title for Welcome Back, like fits well, you know what I mean? To have that as like an opener, and obviously the end be like the closer. But what was it like putting together the track listing for this? And did Robbie help in that one?
no, the track list was something that I think JP had in mind before we even finished the record, to be honest. I just remember all I remember is JP was like, "This is the track list," and I was like, "All right, cool."
And then I cut like 4 songs because we were way out of budget too. Remember? Because
We did cut a couple. Well, we cut like yeah, we did cut a couple things out. Um, yeah. What was your method to the madness when you were putting the track list together?
I don't know. Was like, fuck it. I was like, fuck it, let's make some songs, bro. I was walking away.
Hey, boys, I
Joe,
hate to cut you guys short, but I'm actually about to go support the homies in Rose Lane. I'm going to their show. So I'll catch you guys soon. JP and Dawson, you guys do your thing. And thank you very much for having me, my friend.
all right. Peace out, Tommy.
Peace.
Thanks, Tommy. It's great having you on, man.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
And Dawson, JP, I won't keep you guys too much longer too, because I know we're coming up on an hour. And I appreciate y'all's time, man. But yeah, the record turned out sick, man. And I gotta, and if cool, if you don't mind me asking, JP, lyrically, like especially on deep cuts and XX, like, um, I think lyrically those two stood out for me a lot. Uh, there's like heartbreak. There's a lot of like soul bearing going on those ones. A lot of anger. Um, if you don't want me asking, like, can you divulge a little bit? And again, like, I'm not trying to be like Barbara Walters
Oh
on you.
no,
If there
you're
if
good.
there's
So
places you want to go, we don't got to go there. But those were really like, I felt like those were pretty heavy lyrically.
yeah, so I think for Deep Cuts, well, Deep Cuts was our first single as Devitalized. And lyrics wise, I was honestly listening to like a lot of Knock Loose and stuff then too. So I was like really into that style. And I really wanted to write a song that's just like very like about fucked up shit in the world, but like you don't know what I'm like specifically talking about. It sounds like there's a heartbreak, but in reality, it's actually just a song about like mental health and like corruption and stuff, you know, like feeling like nobody's there for you and like we're like lost in a world with like nobody to actually fucking nobody to save us. So it's very like government, like corruption based. X underscore X is like a suicide note. It's just very blunt. There's someone like struggling, and not knowing how to like say it, but just like being straight up about it. You know, I feel like a lot of people speak out and try to like say things about mental health, and it's just never taken seriously. So that's just kind of a song that's like, this is how I'm feeling. Like this is straight up. Like take it how you will, but this is just me. Like this is just what I'm struggling with.
And just as a follow up, and thanks for sharing that, man. Like, so the theme of the show, March 4th, is like perseverance and moving forward. That's like the meaning behind the name. So for you, anything that you want to share, or you, Dawson, you as well, man, like as far as stuff that's helped you guys get out of a low place for people out there who might be struggling, like anything that you might feel like be somewhat universal or helpful to anybody listening to this.
So I think like the biggest thing is knowing that like you have things that will like that you can always fall back on, like in terms of what that you can rely on, I guess. Whether it's something like music or like if you play a sport, there's always going to be some sort of vessel that will bring you home. And I think, don't be afraid to don't let yourself lose it. Don't let yourself let go of what you want to do, because then that's how you know you're going somewhere you don't want to go. There was a time where I put the guitar down for like 2 years, and when I finally got back to it, it just reignited. It made me feel like me again. So I just don't lose what you love. Um, that's honestly the biggest thing I could say is just like, love yourself and don't lose what you love, and just honor yourself is all I can really say.
My biggest thing is Devitalize has always been like a space for people to come and talk to us. You know, we don't ever want someone to hesitate to hit us up in the DMs. We're always willing to respond, like whether it's me, Dawson, Tommy, whoever it is, like we're always here for the people. Our music is meant to speak the volumes, and I write lyrically stuff how that I'm always feeling. So if it's depressing, it's a depressing song. If it's a song about love, it's a song about love. I'm not gonna hide anything. I'm always willing to be open about it. Music has definitely helped me come out of a lot of bad spots. Being in the studio with these guys was a huge, like healthy change in my life, and being with the person I'm with now is very healthy. And just overall, like I feel like I'm finally me again, and I I'm enjoying what I'm doing. Like I love making music again. I love writing lyrics again. I love going to work every day. You know, I enjoy what I'm doing, and bro, why y'all laughing?
You do not love going to work every
No,
day.
no, I mean I do and I don't. There's so
Nah, it's
many
fair.
things, but I think overall what I'm saying is don't hesitate to hit up anybody. You know, there's people that love you, and if you ever feel like you don't want to speak out, like you should, because everyone should be able to speak up. Everyone should be able to be who they want to be overall.
Hell yeah, man. And heavy music too is like, it's a great release of negative emotion. I always tell people that especially whenever I'm with somebody who doesn't listen to heavier music, and sometimes I'll put on stuff for them. And they're like, man, how do you listen to this? This would like give you a headache. Where I'm like, you don't understand. This is therapy. This is where I put all of all the stuff that I can't get out, like either, at work or with certain people in my life. Like that's where it all goes. So I can only imagine when you guys are on stage and you got kids going crazy, listening to your music and then showing up at the shows and doing it live, man. It's I'm sure pretty cathartic and therapeutic. Well, to put a button on this bad boy, man. Again, kudos to you guys and what you're doing. Um, I know there's you guys have even put stuff on the Instagram about future shows coming up, things that you're working on. So without spilling anything that you guys don't want to spill yet, what can you tell me and the people? And this will be hitting everybody's ears when they're listening to this. It'll be like mid-November. What can you tell me and the people about what you guys have cooking for the end of the year and going into 2025?
Going into 2025.
Going into 2025.
We're going on tour first.
Yeah. Oh, you're just saying it. All
I'm
right.
gonna say it, yeah. January 2nd through the 13th, we're hitting the road with some of our boys in Massachusetts, Voluntary Victim and Rat Blood. By the time this comes out, it might be announced, but we're super stoked to finally be hitting the road like fully and not just like a couple of one-offs here and there. We've been busting our asses to book it, and we're excited to also be announcing some new material soon at some point. Probably not till after the tour, but we do have a lot of stuff we're working on, and
we're storyboarding
yeah,
things.
We're storyboarding. Yeah. We got some stuff working in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And there's a December show too, right? I think I saw that.
Yeah, we just announced that yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday holiday show, Palladium upstairs, with some fucking
Dreamwake,
crazy
Rush,
band, yeah. Rose Lane, who Tommy just went to go see
they're
the
going to
boys.
see them right now. We're actually going to be heading over to see them too, and then Knife Dance.
Sentinels is part of that too.
Oh, and Sentinels.
Sentinels is part of that too. Yeah,
big lineup, but it's pretty cool. I think it's going to be a great way to end off 2024 and really send us into the new year.
Awesome. Well, real quick before I let you go, especially since I'm seeing Dawson rocking the Terrifier on the flannel going on there, and I think JP, I saw you post some like horror movie history. I think it was with Texas Chainsaw, if I'm not mistaken. And
Fresh Fit Friday. I was supposed to do that today.
I'm a big horror movie fan. So real quick, just off the dome, give me some of your favorites, or some that you want to give some shout outs, or maybe even some ones that you think might be underground that people aren't aware of but scared the bejesus out of you.
I really like the Child's Play movies. I grew up on like Chucky and stuff, so those are some of my favorites. I was just like really enjoyed those movies when I was younger, and the Nightmare on Elm Street films were some of my favorites. But I do really like the new Terrifier. Like all of Terrifier is really really good, and I like how they're making a new like horror icon, like a new
the
era.
first like real slasher icon since the 80s.
Yeah.
Or the 90s because of Scream. But
Yeah.
like out of like the big slasher movies, I would say Halloween is my favorite. I've always been I've only gone to horror movies like within the last like 6 years or so. But I will say I haven't seen Terrifier 3 yet, but I remember when I went to go see Terrifier 2 in theaters, and that was like the first time like seeing a horror movie in theaters like kept me up at night just because of how disturbing it was. So I think like that says something in its own. The last time I like stayed up like because of a horror movie was when I was like 6 and I saw Child's Play for the first time. That was like, yeah, that was like
Those are banger movies.
I know those are banger movies,
I love
but
Child's
as a
Play.
6-year-old, I was pissing my pants. So
I loved them.
I
thought they were great.
but yeah, I love those movies, and Halloween. I fucking actually I'm going on like a horror movie marathon next week with my girlfriend, so that'll be fun.
I'll give you a couple if you haven't seen them. The Descent is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. If you haven't seen that one, and one that's really like messed up, like it's like after you watch it, you'll probably have to watch something funny, is The Canal. I think it's like an Irish horror movie. That one, like I'm a grown man. That one was like I had trouble sleeping that night. The Canal was messed up, but The Descent is one of my all-time favorite horror movies. And it's not really horror. It's probably, maybe you guys have seen this one. I think it's classified more as like a thriller. It was based on a book, but Stir of Echoes with Kevin Bacon is also a gnarly movie. If you haven't seen that one either, that's a good thriller. But The Descent and The Canal are two awesome horror movies. Well, hey, I don't want to keep you guys, especially if you're running to go do a show too. But congrats on everything you guys are doing, man. Keep doing your thing. State of Aggression for everybody listening out wherever you get your music. I'll put up the links in the podcast description. But for people who aren't aware of you guys, let them know where they can find you, fella.
That was a CD.
And you can buy it on the website. You can buy a CD on the
we have
website.
CDs on our website with merch. Feel free to pick something up if you guys want. And thank you for
No, thank you
supporting
for
us.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for having us as well. We really appreciate it.
Alrighty, dighty, there you have it. That was my conversation with Tom, JP, and Dawson of Devitalized out of Massachusetts. Make sure you go follow these guys on Instagram at DevitalizedMA. The links to all of their stuff will be in the podcast description for this episode. So just scroll down to the bottom of that podcast description, hit those links, and go follow and support the guys in Devitalized. You will not be disappointed if you love heavy music, whether it's deathcore, metalcore, hardcore. They put it all in a blender for their own unique sound. Again, their album State of Aggression is available everywhere you get your music. It was produced, mixed, and mastered by the aforementioned Robbie Litchfield of Saving Vice at Hell Here Studios in New York. If you are looking to work with an awesome guy with a great ear and a lot of talent, definitely hit up Robbie, man. He's a great dude. So, excuse me, never fails. A little burpy burp there. I swear, every time I record, something happens. My mic like cut out like halfway through the intro and did it at like a different audio level. It's driving me nuts, but I fixed it. It's all good. But for realsy, I just want to say directly to Tom, JP, and Dawson, you guys, thank you again so much for taking the time to swing by the podcast and share your journey with Devitalized for me and the listeners. You guys are just getting started, man. State of Aggression is such a great listen for anybody who's a fan of heavy music like myself. And I know you dudes are putting the work in, playing the live shows, having a good time, getting to work with awesome people like Robbie and Tom Barber. The future is bright, dudes. So I just want to say thank you. You're welcome back anytime you want to come back on the podcast. And for everybody listening, if you want to go check out these guys live, they have a show at the Palladium coming up on December 13th with Dreamwake. And they also have their New Year, New Violence tour, which starts January 2nd with their friends in the band Voluntary Victim. So definitely check out the links for that as well. They will be in the podcast description. So if you did like what you heard and this was your first time listening to the podcast, I just want to say thank you so much. If Devitalized brought you here, once again, welcome aboard the pirate ship. And if you would be so kind, if you take the time to like and subscribe, one, you don't miss any future episodes, and two, it lets the algorithm know that you dug what you heard, man. So if you leave a rating and a review on whatever streaming service this is hitting your eardrums in right now, it goes a long way in helping this show get out to more people. And that's what I want, man. I want these conversations about perseverance, moving forward, awesome bands on the come up like Devitalized. I want it to reach as many people as possible because then we're pumping out cool music and cool people into the world. And it's all love and good vibes and positive vibes over here. So thank you for taking the time to listen. If you would be so kind to do those things, even though I hate begging for them, it does help the show a lot. So on that note, I'm going to wrap it up. Once again, everybody, you can follow me on Instagram at March 4th Pod. I am on YouTube at March 4th Pod. The TikTok, I believe, is March 4th Podcast because for some reason I can't change that to March 4th Pod, but it's close enough. The links to all my stuff, my link trees in the podcast description, like I said at the jump. So if you enjoyed this, hit me up, man. I will get back to you, and I like to keep it positive, man. But for realsy, I appreciate you all. Again, this has been the biggest year for the pod yet, and I'm just forever grateful for all of my close friends and family, number one, who support me. I love you guys. You know who you are. But beyond that, the people that I have listening in different parts of the country, in different countries around the world, you know, where I see some of the places where the downloads are coming from. It's a mind trip, man. So it really is a testament to the power of music and the power of positivity. There's a lot of negativity out there in the world, and I always preface, and maybe I need to stop doing that going into 25. So I don't want this to sound self-righteous, but I'm really trying to be a show that is a haven for positivity and good vibes. And even though there's darkness involved, it's only because we all got to go through some sort of darkness to get to the light in our lives, whatever that is, man. And so It's really cool um, to see things grow from a positive place, man, especially with social media and just how crazy the world is right now, man. So I take a lot of pride in this show. I try not to take myself too seriously, even though I take the conversation seriously and the artist or whoever the guest is seriously and the work that they've done. It's not lost on me the time that these folks take out of their day to spend with me and you for the show, and I'm very humble and very grateful for all of that. But thank you to everybody who's checking out the show and continuing to check it out, because it's really cool to seeing it grow. This is something I do outside of my day job on my free time, man, putting all this together, and I love it. Um, so to call it a labor of love, it makes it sound like tedious. And really, there's no negativity in it, man. I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't enjoy it, and I'm really fortunate to have the support system and to have new people like yourselves checking out the show. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm gonna wrap up the show like I always do as a tribute to my grandfather. Keep the faith and be kind to one another and be kind to yourselves. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody who celebrates. I love you all. Courtesy of the boys in Devitalized, off of their album State of Aggression. Here is the song Flesh Pit. Peace.
My eyes are set on you. Direct divine, it'll let me oversoon. One great which lies is all I need from you. I can never get over the beauty you exude. Cause I know when bodies out there without remorse, decomposing agony and distant tension course. Watch your body smell as I sink deeper, sending them hills the eye of the rainbow. You will never understand the trauma that saves. I slit their fucking throat and watch them struggle to breathe. I let their lifeless bodies laying dead in the street. If you got a problem, come say it to me. Please mine, buried alive. A stench of death, no life inside. You try to run, but cannot hide. I'll make sure you sacrifice. I wanna put a gun to your face and blow. Your face bitch was a chamber gold. But I'll spat those all over the floor. Now your lifeless body remains. And I know into the flesh pit. Little essence is on your face. I decompose the rest of your limbs. From the ones you love, watch your fate. Come and listen, my eyes are set on you. Direct divine, it'll let me oversound. One great which lies is all I need from you. I can never get over the beauty you exude. I don't care, make them watch as I cut into the corpse. Guys, hands, throw your fucking pain.